Oh, you beautiful, beautiful people. Good morning. We hope that everybody listened to Lawrence's recap of Memphis 901 FC's 4-1 win over Hartford Athletic. But it wasn't all fun and games and roses this last weekend because the United States of America failed to win the Gold Cup in what Lawrence Dockery saw as a very winnable game. And here are his thoughts on what he calls the USA-Mexico debacle. Sit back, relax, and enjoy.
All right, folks, welcome into another brand new edition of the 901 Soccer Podcast, U.S. Men's National Team Gold Cup Debacle Emergency Podcast. I'm your host, Lawrence Dockery. Find me on Twitter at LDoc93. Find the 901 Soccer Podcast on Twitter at 901 Soccer Pod. Find us on Facebook as well. That's facebook.com, and you can just search 901 Soccer. It's emergency, immediate post-game reaction to the disastrous Gold Cup final against Mexico. I can say it right now, Greg Burkhalter is officially dead to me. Greg Burkhalter is dead to me. Dead. Low rent garbage. Let me repeat that for you. Low rent garbage. I'm so angry right now. It's it's difficult to speak without letting the expletives fly. Okay? You get the ball rolling with the most bizarre, effed up, out of whack, out of sync camp anyone's ever seen, with a joint U23 camp, but really none of the none of the right U23 guys are going to be there, and then maybe it's going to be some MLS guys, but then maybe it might be some European guys, and then we're just kind of mix and match and plug and play, and if my name was Jurgen Klinsmann, they'd have fired me 3 weeks ago for pulling this crap, but because my brother works at U.S. Soccer, it's all good, and then I'm going to include Josh Sargent on the Gold Cup roster and then kick him out of the squad 3 days before the Gold Cup. He's the striker of the future, but he's not good enough for the Gold Cup. He can't go to the U20 World Cup, and he doesn't get called up for the U23 camp once the Gold Cup got started. So then we're going to get housed at home by Jamaica, and then we're going to get triple housed at home by Venezuela, where law and order has completely broken down, and their citizens are eating dogs and cats in the streets to survive. But then Bert's going to come out here and tell us how that's all good, it's not a big deal, losing is fine, and I guarantee more poor performances. And then the Gold Cup started, and things kind of looked bright. Tyler Boyd was a revelation, dropped 2 goals in the first game against Guyana. Where was he against Mexico? Oh, wait, that's right. He plays at a European club. He's not good enough for this men's national team. Instead, we're going to roll out Gyasi Zardes, who couldn't score from 6 yards out if his life depended on it. Then you roll out, who else did they roll out? Christian Roldan. Okay, fine, whatever. And then you're 10 minutes, less than 10 minutes remaining in the Gold Cup final. You're down 1-0 against your arch rival, and you bring on Daniel freaking Lovitz. Are you high? Greg Burkhalter, are you on drugs? I mean, for real? You're down a goal with 10 minutes and you bring on a defender? Are you kidding me? What are you smoking? You are in so far over your head. It's not even funny. This is ridiculous. Oh, and by the way, the guy that U.S. Soccer passed on to hire Greg Burkhalter, a guy who's been to the last 3 Copa America finals, who won an MLS Cup, who managed Barcelona for a season, who took freaking Paraguay to the World Cup quarterfinals where they almost beat eventual champion Spain. You didn't hire that guy, and then, oh wait, Mexico hired him, and he is 10 games in charge of Mexico. 10 wins, 0 losses, 0 draws. Tata Martino's record all-time against Greg Burkhalter now. 5 wins, 0 losses, 1 draw. Combined score, 11-2. You seriously want to sit here and tell me that Greg Burkhalter is a better manager than Tata Martino? Are you kidding me? F off. Go jump, as the immortal Grant Wall said earlier this week, why don't you go jump in a lake? Carlos Cordero, Ernie Stewart, why don't you wake up and smell what you're shoveling? I got to sit here and watch Josie Altidore have a wide open goal, get past Memo Ochoa, and he can't even ring it off the post. He put it wide. I swear, if I hear one more person, one more talking head, if I have to hear Taylor Twellman say it, if I have to hear Stuart Holden or John Strong or somebody on the ESPN FC crew or somebody in Fox's studio tell me how big and strong Josie Altidore is, I'm going to have a stroke. That will happen. I am sick and tired of Josie Altidore. All he does is whine and complain and score when you don't need him to. Your World Cup hopes are on the line. You need a goal in Cuava against Trinidad and Tobago. You know what? Not going to score. You need to go up 1-0 against your arch rival in the Gold Cup final. I'm going to put it wide. Oh, you're up 5-1 in the 80th minute against St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Boom, Josie Altidore's your guy. You're up 3-0 in the 88th minute against Guatemala, and Christian Pulisic is about to score his first international goal. Boom, Josie Altidore's your guy. Not so much in the Gold Cup final. And then I got to watch this, and yes, I'll let you know before everybody goes off the deep end and goes, well, look how good they played in the first half, and Burkhalter had a plan, and he's got a vision, and blah, 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 blah. Stop. I don't want to hear it. Yes, they looked good in the first half. And then you know what happened? Tata Martino adjusted, and Mexico owned the second half. Owned it. Wasn't even close. Here's a dirty little secret about Greg Burkhalter, people. Why don't you wake up and smell the roses? The dude cannot adjust. He's got his vision. He's got his system. He's going to try and shoehorn players that don't fit into it. And we're going to lose a lot. And remember, he guaranteed it. He guaranteed more poor performances. I got to sit here and watch Mexico absolutely run riot. Andres Guardado got 8 shots in a row off in a 5-minute stretch. And Greg Burkhalter's just sitting there on the sideline with his thumb up his ass and his fancy little sweater. Oh, hey, cool sweater and tight pants, bro. Really appreciate the fashion statement you're making instead of managing the damn team and beating Mexico. Really appreciate that. It's just mind-boggling. You're not including the best 23 guys on the roster, and then you're not putting the best 11 guys on the field. And then when it comes time to make substitutions, you're bringing Josie Zart. What? Why? I get he's your boy, and I get that he can score with his face if it deflects off of a defender 3 times. The dude couldn't pass the ball from me to the front door if you paid him $1 million to do it. He's just running around like he looks like a toilet brush. Cool mop on your head, bro. We appreciate that. Why don't you put the ball in the back of the net instead of being in the 6-yard box and shooting it out for a throw-in? And you know what? You know what the awful thing is? You know what really sucks about losing this game to Mexico? Michael Bradley wasn't awful. He wasn't. I mean, he had his fair number of, I'm just going to let Mexico players run right by me and I'm going to hand the ball to them, but he actually passed to our team more than he passed to the other team. I don't even remember the last time he did that. That had to have been in 2014. It's Greg Burkhalter has got to go. The process that led to him getting hired sucked. He sucks as a manager. I don't care. You will never sell me on his plan and his vision. And if I hear one more person tell me about his vision and his plan and his attention to detail, we got outworked and out-hustled and outshot in the quarterfinal by a freaking liquor bottle. Don't tell me about Greg Burkhalter's plan and vision. I tell you where to stick that plan and that vision. Sick of this. Sick of dealing with this. Got to deal with Daniel Lovitz. What are you high? You can't tell me that we wouldn't be better rolling a damn Coke bottle out there making substitute, bringing Daniel, a defender, on down 1 minute with 10 minutes to go in a Gold Cup final. Give me a break. And Tata Martino, by the way, knows what the deal is, because when they asked him Saturday, they said, when did you start scouting the U.S. for this final? And he said, when their coach was in Columbus. Don't think that Tata Martino didn't want to rub this in U.S. soccer's face. And you know what? They deserve it. Hey, they exceeded expectations. Before the tournament, we had Brian Strauss and Jeff Carlisle and all the big names in the U.S. soccer media who carry the water for the program. They were all telling us why this Gold Cup didn't matter. And then now that we got to the final, it's all gravy. You don't need to go win the final. Losing to Mexico was totally fine. You should never be upset about losing to your arch rival in a final. Well, you may be a normal person. You may sit there and ask, why is losing all of a sudden okay? Well, we missed the World Cup. Well, why does missing the World Cup make losing to Mexico something to be celebrated? You got me. But that's what U.S. soccer's been telling us. It's okay to lose because we've lost before. We failed in one goal, so other goals should also failing to meet other goals is also now perfectly fine. I haven't even gotten to dig into whatever garbage he's been peddling in the post-game press conference. It's mind-boggling. I can't. How are you not going to bring Tyler Boyd onto the field? How? No Josh Sargent, even though he's the striker of the future, but he didn't get to go to the U20 World Cup. He got to play a half against Jamaica in a friendly. Oh, boy. No Tyler Adams. Sorry, you play in Europe. You can't come. Oh, and by the way, if I do let you back into the team, you're going to be a right back, even though you're the best midfielder we've ever had. Tim Weah? Sorry. At least he got to go to the U20 World Cup. You know, and there's a part of me that thinks that even if DeAndre Yedlin and John Brooks were healthy, they wouldn't have been included in the squad. Fabian Johnson, sorry, you play in Europe. You don't get to come. Jossie Zardes, you played for Bert in Columbus. Come on down. You got feet of stone, but you played in Columbus. It's mind-boggling. I don't get it. I don't like it. I think it's crap. But hey, you know what? I'm overreacting. It's just one game, right? It's just the Gold Cup final against one of the best managers of our time that we could have had. We didn't even bother to call because he speaks Spanish. We don't want that. How about he speaks the language of winning? No, we wouldn't want that. By the way, 10 wins, 0 losses, 0 draws for Tata Martino with Mexico. It's okay, though. Greg's got a plan. He's got a vision. We're all good. All right. I had to get that out. That's going to do it, I guess, for this brief emergency post-Gold Cup recap. Oh, yeah, by the way, Greg Burkhalter is so milquetoast that the U.S. has played prior to the final against Mexico, had played 5 games in NFL stadiums this year. In football stadiums. One of them was at a college football stadium. Every single one of those drew under 30,000 people. As bad as U.S. soccer's attendance has been going the last few years, it's gotten worse this year. So nobody believes in Burkhalter. Why would you? The dude's a loser. Proven at 2 different clubs. He sucked in Sweden, and they fired him after a year, and then he sucked in Columbus. And I don't want to hear about how little of a budget. The dude was 4 games under 500 in MLS. I don't care what your budget is. You cannot tell me you're a good coach and have a losing record. Get out of my face with that crap. The fans don't believe. The players don't like. Did anybody see that picture of one of the camps where Weston McKennie is watching Greg Burkhalter draw on a whiteboard and his expression it's just of shock and disturbed and confusion, and everybody else is just kind of like whatever, and McKennie's sitting here going, what is this moron telling me? But yeah, newsflash, attendance ain't doing great. Nobody believes in Burkhalter. He's a milquetoast. He's boring. He's dreadful. So in 2015, the U.S. had a very high attendance, their second highest attendance ever, 38,763. In 2016, it fell to 29,707. In 2017, it fell to 29,400. Last year, it fell to 24,163. This year, with the great, visionary, masterful, motivator, be-all, end-all, greatest manager of all time, Greg Burkhalter, 19,539. Yeah. That's okay. It's fine. He's got a plan. He's got a vision. I haven't bought into this garbage. I think anyone else that has really needs to reevaluate some things in their life. I think Greg Burkhalter needs to go now, not yesterday, not tomorrow, not after breakfast, now. I don't know. I really don't know what else to say. I mean, I think he's low-rent garbage. He really is. He's gotten up here and told us why losing 3-0 at home to Venezuela is fine. He's told us that we have no right to expect to beat Curacao by more than a goal. We have no right to expect to outpossess or outshoot Curacao, because that's going to be a really tough game. Well, here's a news flash. Why don't you bring your best effing players and then it won't be a tough game? It's just, I wish I had that kind of job security. I wish we all had that kind of job security. It doesn't matter what BS we say. It doesn't matter how awful we look. It doesn't matter how much we lose. If your brother's in... Oh, yeah, and by the way, Jay Burkhalter about to be the new CEO of U.S. Soccer. But yeah, lots of changes happening. Yeah, I don't buy it. So it's just more of the same. We'll scrape through. We'll be runners-up in the Nations League to Mexico. We will be... we might win the next Gold Cup if they have it. But Mexico will take their C squad because it'll be in the middle of World Cup qualifying. We'll take our B squad. We'll squeak past them. Oh, yeah, here's another thing. Mexico didn't have their 20 best players. This was their B team. And you still got dominated. All right. I got to do it. We're going to have to cut this off because I'm going to say or do something stupid if I haven't already done it. So that's it. Oh, I do also want to give a shout out because I'm sure if, I would be remiss if I did not shout out to the U.S. Women's National Team for winning the Women's World Cup. They didn't trail at all the entirety of the tournament. They beat everybody. 7 games, 7 wins. That's nothing to sneeze at. Against almost entirely European opposition. One of those theories that gets run out there, on the Twitter sphere, on Facebook, whatever, is, well, they have to play these countries that don't invest in women's soccer. To an extent, I believe that. But they played the countries that invest in women's soccer, okay? Sweden, they've been taking it seriously for a long time. France, they've been taking it seriously for a while. England, the Netherlands, I won't say a long time, but they've been one of the better teams in the world for the last 4 years, okay? So you beat who they put in front of you. They put 7 teams in front of the U.S. women. They beat all 7 of them. So shout out to them for bringing home some hardware. Something tells me that Jill Ellis would not have been thrilled if they didn't win the Women's World Cup. Something tells me that. Jill Ellis wins. Right? She does. I can't imagine that she would come into a post if they had lost to the Netherlands. If Jill Ellis would have gone in there and say, "Well, you know what? We made the final, and the Netherlands, they won the Women's European Championships 2 years ago. So yeah, we're cool with losing." I can't see Jill Ellis doing that. Can you? Can you see Greg Burkhalter doing that? I can. You know how I can see that? Because he's already done it. It's okay though. We passed on Tata Martino, Juan Carlos Osorio, Carlos Queiroz, and Julen Lopetegui. You had a Real Madrid and former Spain manager knocking on your door saying, "Hey, can I come manage the team?" Nah, sorry. Greg Burkhalter's a wizard. All right, that's going to do it here for this emergency edition of the 901 Soccer Podcast. Again, I'm Lawrence Dockery. You can find me on Twitter at LDoc93. Find the 901 Soccer Podcast on Twitter at 901 Soccer Pod. And find us on Facebook, facebook.com/901soccer. This has been an emergency presentation of the 901 Soccer Podcast. We will talk to you next time.
The podcast you just heard was made using Anchor. Ever thought about making your own podcast? Anchor makes it really easy for anyone to get started. It's a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free. Sign up now at anchor.fm/new. That's anchor.fm/new to get started.